The very first thing we do when we bring people down here is that we want to dispel the greatest argument, acoustics. So what we do is we walk into this office and we demonstrate to them what happens when we walk into the office and what it feels like. When we come out of that office, it dispels it. They're no longer asking us about STC, NRC. They're not asking us about any of those things. If there's an acoustic issue in the space, it's certainly not our partition. And by the way, this is in the worst possible condition. This is with glass on 3 sides. So we've only got solid wall, you know, on a small portion of it. So when you look at it, we're showing it in worst case scenario. When we actually get up on top of the mezzanine over on the other side of the structure, they actually see that we haven't cheated at all. We do have sound masking above there, and we've got noise stop on the conventional ceiling tiles. They start to see that type of situation. It completely dispels one of the greatest issues for anybody in their perception of modular construction. Now, when we bring them around to this side, there's a couple of things that we're going to discuss with them when we come into this space, because if you look closely, you would have seen that the other side was double glazed. So we showed them more of our single glazed application here. We bring them into the environment of what we're doing here, and we show them how here it is with single glazing, and the acoustic performance or lack of acoustic performance is hardly perceptible to the other side. It performs extremely well. One of the things that we had that we've developed is our micro perforated tile for the acoustic tiles that you see here, and they're made of a combination of a veneer, an MDF, and a CNC machined MDF rather, and the 3M sound soak material on the back, and we're able to achieve acoustic ratings, you know, well beyond any conventional tactile, and of course being able to perform just like a conventional acoustic ceiling tile. And when we talk about where we're going with this company, one of the ugliest things in any condition is the darn ceiling. You know, you look at a conventional T-bar ceiling, nobody likes it. And then if we're going to ultimately be coming into your home or into conference rooms or into reception areas, we've developed a ceiling tile system, the one that you see up above here. Raise the camera. Yeah, it's in there, and it's showing how we're able to create, take a creative type of approach to ceilings and still get as good acoustic performance as you can with the conventional ceiling tile system. One of the things that we're seeing that's almost ubiquitous on every big job that we've been working on, whether we've succeeded or failed, is ergonomics. And ergonomics right now, especially as it relates to sit stands, they're paying a lot of money, sometimes as much as the actual furniture, for a sit stand operation. What they're finding though is these sit stands cost a lot of money to wire up and install. And what we've got is our own unique situation. We've actually, instead of having the sit stand extraneous to the panel, we've got it integrated right into our wall system, and it just shows you how we're able to work with it. And it's integrated. Take a look down below, the mechanism lifting this surface all the way up or all the way down, and how we've got our own solution. And this is one, again, another one of our patented solutions. So now when we address the ergonomic issue, we get into the other parts, is the creative way that you can develop these spaces. We'll be going next, we're going to go over to our mezzanine space, and I'll show you what we've done in that area. The honest reaction from most people is, why the heck will we be doing something like this? But when you look at it a little closer, you'll see it really is in direct harmony with what our approach is. It's all about modularity. It's all about speed of construction. It's all about sustainability. And it's all about creative ways of using your space. The most important thing is that in these mezzanine structures is not only what they do from a structural point of view in creating creative spaces, is the integration of the DIRTT componentry. And even more creative, if you take a close look, if you'll come bring the camera in from an angle here, you'll see that these walls are actually on an angle too. Probably go to the side here. Just helping out the cameraman here, folks. But anyway, so that you see that these walls are on an angle, a creative approach to it. And then when we come into the space, you can see how this works even in a different way acoustically. coming into the space here, you can hear I'm echoing in the space because the walls are on angles here, and of course incorporating our integrated sit stand again. And showing a little bit about, we are in the design business, and these are the type of finishes that we're seeing today, that were around 40 or 50 years ago, and now they're being reinterpreted in spaces today. Again, combining craftsmanship with technology and creating a solution that nobody else can do. Now we're going to walk up into the upper spaces. We have a client that wants to have their meeting areas in a very different type of location, and you'll see what we've got upstairs here. So if you take a close look, these are actually our door verticals, for our slimline barn door. So we managed to create a railing out of our aluminum parts. Not what we would recommend normally, but we decided to be a little bit creative. But when you take a look at the unique area that we've been able to create here and how we use this space, really it gives a classic example of what can be done with space that nobody has offered before, and it distinguishes itself from conventional metal mezzanines. It actually makes it something that's beautiful. And if you negotiate the lease right, you don't have to pay any rent on it. And we can start to be creative. And when you look at what we're going to do in the rest of our lab here, this whole space, product development is going to be moving in. They're going to be going into a very large mezzanine structure with all of their workstations up above. And what is imminent after 3 years, I think, is our new dirt low wall, where we're actually going to be able to manage wires. I can already hear the applause in the crowd right now when we hear that, in that regard, but especially as it relates to nurses' stations, which costs more to install the wiring than it does the actual station. So we've got a solution coming, and I hear it's coming this year, and it will be on top of the mezzanine. And then down below is where we're going to have all of our other areas, like our prototyping areas and all that, and then we'll have product development adjacent to the lab, and they will also be adjacent to our new laser CNC metal machine. So again, bringing creativity to a whole different level here, and definitely showing the commitment. The commitment is so important for our clients. It's not about what we're doing today. Our client is going to be with us for the next 30 years, and we have to demonstrate to them that they're going to be the benefactor of all of our innovation, that they're going to be the benefactor of something that will never be obsoleted and remain to our commitment. And it's so important for them that they see what they're seeing today is good, but it's not near as good as what it's going to be tomorrow. Well, what this is actually a live example of what a patient room could be. And it addresses the issues that are important in healthcare. The first thing is that when it comes to healthcare, movability is not the issue. It's more being able to come up with a process that's much less money, that's much quicker, and leaves them with a total solution that's sustainable, as opposed to one, that you have to tear it down to rebuild it or repurpose it. And the issues are different in healthcare. For instance, infection control, absolutely every single crack, every single connection has to be seamed to the walls or seamed to the adjacent device. And you see here right now, when I point this out, you won't be able to see our new optive filler there that has a dual purpose. Number one, it is infection control, but number two, it also allows us to take it out so that we can repurpose this tile if it ever gets damaged. And remember, this tile has 30% more abrasion resistant than high pressure laminate, let alone what most hospitals here, they're just painted. So you've got a much better, a much more durable solution as far as maintenance of the facility, and it's still repurposable and accessible. The second thing is, because the tile is clear, you actually can see patient safety when they're going to go to the bathroom at nighttime is a big issue in the United States especially, and our ability to integrate LED lighting into any one of these 4mm gaps has a tremendous savings. When you compare it to one of these handrails that a 5-foot section costs $1,500 in the box. That's before it's installed. So you can imagine by the time it's installed in a union environment, forget about all the backing that's required in the walls and all that type of thing. We mitigate a huge amount of expense. It's less than $300 for the LED lights that are going in this wall right now, all on motion activated switching, so that it becomes totally hands-free for the occupant of the room. The other thing is they want to create a friendlier environment in there. The ability to integrate this technology so people can bring pictures of their family or pictures of their favorite vacation place. So as they're in the healing environment that they have, it feels more like home or far more comfortable. And then the ability to protect that. It's sealed, of course, for infection control, but this surface here is easily cleanable, and the technology itself is protected and, of course, totally repurposable. And then we get into the kind of the branding, the creativity of the space here. Here's another example of being able to put in creative items into that space and to really humanize the space for them. And then there's even a practical application where we have the graphic where the nurses and everybody are able to write onto the graphics, again, infection controlled and totally functional on the surface. Talk about being able to do what we call blowing and sucking, is that you're able to create a wonderful environment and still have the function in that environment. And then the way we do our millwork, the way we integrate our cabinetry, you know, the hardware devices that we use, and how it's all an integrated solution as opposed to some extraneous cabinet millwork situation that you see. So it all becomes one integrated solution. Again, extremely compelling for the client and the type of environments. Good example, we had two very high up, we call them Engineer Mohammed and Dr. Mohammed, that were here last Monday and Tuesday in charge of a new 3,500 bed facility over in Saudi Arabia. We already have a contract for 25 intensive care unit contract, but we're looking at something much bigger. And when they came here and saw what we were able to do, they were very impressed. But what was even more impressive is they said, you know, we said, this is a lab. What is it that we've missed? And they gave us 3 items that they felt should be in there. And we're going to demonstrate to them in the next 2 weeks that we'll have integrated all those items into this environment and responded. That's why it's called a lab and not a showroom and not even a green learning center. So again, a whole different experience. And all we say is, let's stand back. Can you build this for 3 times the price? Can you build this in less than 3 times the time, let alone end up with a quality and a sustainable solution like we have here? What we've shown here is a real life experience. Plumbing stacks, water supply, drains, integrated mechanical systems. It's all there. This is all done conventionally, and we show how we capture that with our DIRTT components. All of a sudden, what you've got is conventional construction on steroids, in speed, in quality, in cleanliness, in execution, and then of course in flexibility. For this section, we've actually employed a diva here, Julie Pithers. By the way, today is her 50th birthday. So just showing you how we integrate in a nurse's area, the ability for privacy into that area. Say goodbye to Julie. Okay, that's good. Okay, good.